Hi, I'm Amanda Skelton and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'd like to show you how to make this little treat box. I've got two here, so this is the closed one and it's got a little pull cord to open it up. And this one here, so I've done two different designs, and this size is about right to take 3 Ferrero Rochers or Lindor chocolates. This is from a design from Sandra Ronald, and the sizes that she has done here is for the Ferrero Rochers and Lindor, so it'd be a really nice little treat box, especially for Easter or for Mother's Day. You could put chocolates in it, or you could maybe put little bath bombs in there, or maybe some little candles. So it's a really nice little way to package a gift. So with Mother's Day coming up and Easter, this would be a really nice design. So I've used the stamp set here to make the outside cover. You could use designer series paper, which is already done for you, but I wanted to show you that you can make your own designer series paper, and you can make it have the pattern and design and colours that you want to match your paper, or whatever occasion you want. So I wanted to show you how you can do your own paper as well. Okay, so as I said, the design that I've got here is the Power of Hope stamp set. So I'm using the lantern and the tree, and this is in the Sale-a-bration catalogue, and this is the free bundle. So you get the stamp set and you get this embossing folder, which is really nice. It's sort of like a stone effect, and that's a bundle that you can earn free if you place an order of £90 or more. So it's a really nice set, and I think it will be really useful going forward. Okay, so what do you need to make this box? So you need some coloured cardstock. I've got terracotta tile here, and that needs to measure 9 inches by 6.5 inches, and you want to score this on each edge, and you want to score it at 1 inch and at 2.5 inches, and then rotate it again 1 and 2.5, 1 inch, 2.5 on all 4 sides, and that will give you the grid that you can see there. And then you want some either very vanilla or I've got Whisper White cardstock here, and that measures 6 5/8 of an inch by 4 1/16 of an inch. And you want to measure along the long edge, you want to measure at 1/2 inch, 2 inches, 3 9/16 inches, and 5, sorry, did I say 3? Yeah, 3 9/16 and 5 1/16. So that's all your score lines. Now, I'd probably say if you're going to do lots of stamping on a piece of paper, I'd probably do it before you do your score lines, but because I've already prepared this, I will stamp it anyway. And to be fair, if you've already scored it, it'll be fine. Just when you stamp, score on the side that has the valleys of your scores, and then your stamps will come out okay. If you try and put it on the ridge side, your stamp isn't going to come out very well. The worst that'll happen with the valleys is that you'll just have a little bit of the stamp missing on the corner, on the edges, but then they're going to be folded for the corners of your box anyway. If you see here, I've done this, so it's just a little bit white here, but when it's creased and folded, you don't notice anyway. Okay, so what I'd suggest you do is do your stamping first, and then you can allow the stamping to dry, although it shouldn't take too long anyway. So like I said, I'm going to use the tree and the lantern, and I've got Old Olive stamp, which I'm going to use for the tree. When you're stamping a whole section of card to make your own designer series paper, I would suggest starting from the inside and working your way out. Otherwise, if you start doing it randomly and go to the middle at the end, you may end up with a gap that is either far too big or too small for what you want to put in. I'd also recommend, especially on something that is going to have like a right way up, especially when you've got a box like that where obviously there's a right way up, try not to have a pattern that's directional. I'd make it random. Rotate your stamp so that there isn't a particularly right way up or down. Otherwise it's going to be obvious. It'll be the right way up there, but it'll be the wrong way up on the opposite side. I'm using 2 different patterns of stamp. You can use as many as you like, and you can use as many different colours as you like. I'm using 2 colours and 2 stamps. So I'm just going to ink up, and I'm just going to start in the middle, as I said. Make sure you don't get ink around your block. If you do, wipe it off, or just make sure you use a block not too much bigger than your stamp. So as I said, I'm just going to rotate my stamp. And what you want to do as well is go off the edge of your paper. Make sure you've got something below it to protect, and then you can just stamp away. It just makes it look like it's been cut from a piece of card that's already patterned. So that's quite nice when you do that. You just want to make sure you stamp every time onto your pad so you get the same colour strength. Otherwise you might get something that's a bit paler. So you can see there, and it's gone off the sides as well, so it just looks like it's been cut from a continuous piece. And I'm going to use my terracotta tile to go with the cardstock that I'm going to use for my base for the box. And I've got my lantern, and I'm just going to fill in the gaps. Again, I'm going to move it around direction so that it fills in. Again, go off the side. And because I've got a bigger gap here and a smaller gap there, that's why I'm making that direction there, and then it fits in quite nicely. You don't have to be too perfectionist about this, because it's a fairly random pattern. And then again, I'm just going to do some around the edge. Okay, so actually I've got a bit of a gap here, so again I'm just going to put some there. So there you go, you can see that that looks a nice even pattern. Okay, so just set that to the side and let that dry for a bit before we start manipulating it into the outer edge. So now we've got our card base, and this will be the box that we're going to use at the bottom. So you've got all the score lines. Hopefully you can catch that in the camera. So what you want to do is cut the outside three corners from each of the outside three squares of each of the corners. Okay, so you can use your score lines. If it makes it easier, because once you start cutting, sometimes it can be difficult to remember where you are. If it makes it easier, before you start doing any cutting, put a cross on each of the pieces that you're going to cut out, and then just double check that that's right before you do any cutting. And then it's just a visual aid for you to make you sure where you're going to cut, because there's nothing worse than having cut out a piece of card and doing all the scoring and then realise that you've cut out a piece that you shouldn't have done. You can probably fix it anyway, but it's just quite gutting when you do that and realise that you've made a mistake. Okay. Alright, so we're nearly there. And again, you don't have to be too worried about your cutting lines, because these are going to be folded inside in the end, just to strengthen your box. Okay, last corner. Last one. Just gonna do that bit. Okay, and then on these four corners here, the big four squares, you want to do one cut up them. So I would hold it so that you've got the long edges going across, and then I'm going to do one cut on the square just up to the first score line. The same on the other corner. Turn it around and do exactly the same thing. Cut up to the first score line. Okay, and then they're going to become your tabs that will stick on there. Okay, what I would also suggest you do is on all these outside extending pieces, I would just cut off a diagonal, and it just means that when you fold it in, it doesn't encroach on the other edges. So you can just, again, you don't have to be too perfectionist about it. All of your corners that are going to be folded in. It also gives quite a neat finish on the inside if somebody was to look at the inside of the box too carefully. There you go, so you should end up with something that looks like that. Okay, let's get rid of all the scrap pieces. What you want to do is we need to make a hole for this piece of thread here. So I'm using braided linen trim. It's a really nice strong ribbon. The colour of it is brilliant as well because it's neutral, so it'll go with any colour, and it's flat as well, so if you want to actually put it on a card to decorate a card, then it's nice and flat, so doesn't add too much to the thickness of the card. So you need a hole punch, and I've got a single hole punch here, but you could probably get away with you know, like a 2-hole punch that you'd use for A4 paper. And you want to do it on this square, one of the ends, doesn't matter which one, and you want to do it on this section here. You want to make sure it's evenly spaced across, and it depends whether you can, how far down you can get your hole punch, but it probably won't go down too far. But I think the most important thing is that it's centered. Okay, so I'm now going to fold all my edges, all my score lines, and you, if you want to, you can use a bone folder. It just makes nice sharp edges. Do them all on the same direction because they're all going to be folded inwards. And this last one here. Okay, so if you can see here, this will just about cover that hole once we put in. So you want to fold your ribbon in half, thread the cut edges through from the outside, so that's going to be the outside of your box, so make sure you've got your loop on the outside. And then what I'm going to do is use some tearing tape, and I'm just going to put some just underneath the hole, and it's underneath the hole in terms of how it will sit when its box is made. So you just want to get rid of that, and then you just want to open up those ends and stick them down onto the glue. If you want to trim the edges off so you don't see them when you put the flaps down, you can do that as well. There you go. And then just to make sure it's really secure, I'm just going to put some across the top as well. Give it a really good push down, and then take off the protective bit. And if you want to then, well, I'll probably put a little bit there as well. So then you can fold this flap down, and it just about covers that up. Okay, I could have been a bit neater with that, but I think it'll be fine. If some people might put a knot on it, that'd be fine, but then that gives quite a big lumpy section there to try and hide. And it's really good to have the double thickness here when you're pulling this end to strengthen the box. Okay, so what we're going to do now is then make up the box. So that's how it's going to go, and then all the edges are going to fit over the top. So obviously with that on the inside, what you need to do is use your tear and tape, and we're going to do these first. So you need to fold these 4 in, and you need to put some tear and tape on the outside because they're going to go inside there. Alright, and you can just cut that there. I'm going to do the same there. And the same on the other side. Again there. Whoops. Throw it around. And then the same on that one. Too much, you can just trim it. Okay, so I probably recommend on one side take off both of the protective strips, because it's very difficult to do one side without doing the other side on this, so you might as well do them both together. If you find that the covering doesn't come off, just push it down a lot harder onto the... So we've got the sticky tape there, and we're just going to offer up the side of the box and use a thumb to push that in. And the same the other side. Just going to offer up the box there, so you get a nice corner. And then I'm just going to use my bone folder to push that down as well. Okay, want to do exactly the same the other side. Okay. And again, I'm going to offer it up, get a nice corner there, whilst trying not to squeeze it with the other side and get the other side stuck. And again, offer it up there. Use your fingers and then use your bone folder just to make sure that's nicely pushed down and stuck down. So now we need to put some tape on the inside, and these are going to be folded into these, and the same on this one as well. So again, on the inside. I'm going to do that one first, get that one out of the way. If you haven't got nails, then you can use like the pick your own tool, something, or a pokey tool that you would use. It just helps to take the top layer off. Okay, so again, just going to squeeze that down there. then I'm going to put a piece across there. Piece along there. And again, give it a good push. Okay, once you get hold of it, you're okay. Just getting that first corner to lift. Okay. Okay, and then you can just fold those in. Again, give it a good push. Fold that in. Give that a good push. And there you have your box ready for its cover. So now your patterned paper is all ready to go. So you want to place it pattern side down and then crease your score lines, and you've got a small section here, and that is going to become your overlap at the bottom, and you'd want to make sure that that's on the bottom of your box as well. So on the small strip on the pattern side, you want to then put a piece of your tear and tape again. And then what I'd recommend you do is when you put this together is make sure, well, actually that's wrong, isn't it? That's the top. So I've got my edge at the bottom, that's the top. You want to make sure, I would suggest that you actually close the box surrounding the cover. I'd suggest that you actually make it up around the box, and then you know it's definitely going to be big enough. So place that there. Oh, I've got my finger stuck to it. And then close that one over, and then just push that one down. And then you've got your box, and it slides in nicely. And there you have your box. You can obviously use any design, any colours you like. But yes, so definitely look at the Sale-a-bration items, because there are some brilliant free items that you can earn. Like I said, it goes on until the end of March, and I believe that while stocks last, I don't think they'll be replenishing them once the free items run out of stock. So you definitely want to get in there first, especially if you see something you really like. You can look at any of the items or order products through my Stampin' Up website, which is amandascraftedcards.stampinup.net, or feel free to send me a message or ask any questions. You'll be more than welcome to do that. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope that you can make your own little treat box and make somebody very happy. Thank you very much.